associated, even in the later literatures of the Jews, such as this one in the Zohar. And it has to do with the records. Everyone kept records. That was what is so crucial and important to understand in the opening context of our book of Abraham. And finally, on these records, out of the Babylonian Talmud, this is out of the traditions about the early life of Abraham. It's compiled and edited by John Twetness, Brian Hauglid, and John Gee. This is in the Studies in the Book of Abraham. It's a very good book. The Avodah Zarah at 14b in the Babylonian Talmud said Rabbi Hizda to Abimi, "There is a tradition that the tractate, the Avodah Zarah, of our father Abraham consisted of 400 chapters. We have only learnt 5. Well, that's real interesting, isn't it? That's a big book of Abraham, you see. When they talk about the records and the books, they don't mean just a couple of scraps here and there. No, these people were keeping records. And what were they keeping records of? Well, their experiences with each other, with their revelations about God, with the knowledge that they were learning through their heavenly revelations as prophets of God about the creation, the cosmos, the stars, the moon. And in fact, the Avodah Zarah in 25a and in the Baba Bathra in 16b, Twetness and Hauglid and Gee note this. That was on page 122 of their text. On page 123, we read this in the Avodah Zarah. And the sun stood still, and even the moon stayed until the nation had avenged themselves of their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? Well, what is this book of Jasher? Said Rabbi Hilkiah ben Abba, in the name of Rabbi Yohanan, it is the book of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are designated as righteous. See, these are the true tzaddik. These are the tzaddikim, the righteous ones, by which the world is upheld, according to the theological stance from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Robert Eisenman, in his book James the Just, the brother of Jesus, has a lot to say about that. James the Just was one of these tzaddikim that, because of him, God did not destroy the Jewish nation. And when they killed him on the temple steps, of course, then Jerusalem was ready to fall. The righteous one had been removed, and of course Jerusalem fell 70 A.D. And so anyway, I'm off on a tangent. In the Baba Bathra, 16b, is a very interesting story by Rabbi Eliezer the Modite. He said that Abraham possessed a power of reading the stars. And it's because of this, of course, that he was sought after by the potentates of both East and the West. He was really quite famous. And Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai said Abraham had a precious stone that hung around his neck. And what this did is it brought immediate healing to any sick person who looked on it. So when Abraham our father departed from this world, the Holy One, blessed be he, suspended it from the orb of the sun. Those fun little rabbinical stories, but this idea of Abraham possessing a special knowledge of the heavens and being sought after, and how Abraham had this peculiar gift to heal. And it didn't matter how wicked a person he was dealing with. I mean, Pharaoh, the son of a gun, steals your wife, he attempts to kill you, and yet Abraham lays his hands on the man's head and heals him, and this, of course, is accounted unto him for righteousness. Now, that's a magnanimous attitude. It's kind of positively shocking. So, you get all these stories and backgrounds and delightful teachings about Father Abraham and about his situation with Pharaoh, and then when it's compared with the ideas, the ideologies of the Egyptians, with their lifestyle, with their hopes and their dreams and their passions, sure. What you have is the ideology of the good life, the better life. Father Abraham shows us through precept and example where the good life exists. And do you know where? It exists in the giving of oneself. It exists in being able to have so much charity that you plead with God, you beg with God, and you actually argue against one of God's decisions to destroy the wicked because you want to make really good and sure that no righteous are being destroyed with the wicked. Abraham cared about others. He put others in front of himself. He never argued with Lot. He gave Lot the best fields, the best pastures, the best land, the best city, the best country, the best cattle, the best pigs, the best people. He gave Lot everything he wanted. And then when Lot went down into the voluptuous city, of course it was taken over by the kings of the plain. Then Abraham, instead of Abraham telling Lot, well, see, I told you so, you deserve it, you greedy son of a gun, criminy man, you leave me up in the rocky hills and you go down into the voluptuous city, is it any wonder you got taken capture? Did Abraham do any of that? No. He went and fought the 5 kings of the plain and beat them to rescue his nephew Lot. The more you study and read about this character Abraham, it doesn't matter if you're reading him in our book of Abraham, or if you're reading about him in Hugh Nibley's writings, or John Twetness' writings, or in some of the Apocalypse and Testament of Abraham in the Pseudepigrapha, it doesn't matter, the Babylonian Talmud, Rashi, it doesn't matter who you're reading him from. We really have something. What we have here is one of the first and foremost of the truly great heroes. That's what we have. That's the value of studying Father Abraham. And that's why Nibley's materials, he really jumps into this. I mean, he extrapolates. He brings out a lot of extra parallel materials, of course, because he's trying to show us the magnanimity, the magnitude, the overwhelming, astonishing response of Abraham, not only to God and man, but to the environment, to the creation, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much this idea about Abraham, the parallels with the book of Abraham and the records of the fathers from page 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95 in Nibley's Abraham in Egypt. So thank you for joining me in this Backyard Professor podcast series. I am delighted. I'm absolutely delighted to produce these for you. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you for all of your kind emails and your suggestions and your ideas on how I can better improve my podcast for you. Remember, have a great life.